Project Zomboid Build 42 Unstable released. Well, so with Build 42 Unstable, we got a bunch of new traits, and no one's quite sure how they work right now. No one's quite sure how exactly it functions. There's been a lot of speculation, but the people who do know, maybe like the programmers, if they've told anyone, they're only like people that are really close to them, and they're not talking. So right now, everyone's kind of noticing changes. I want to talk about some of the changes that I've noticed, some being merely name changes, others being functional changes, because there's been a lot of them. And then I also want to give at the end of the video recommendations for what I think are the freebies you still have as options. You can, down click on the little timestamp and you get the chapters if you want to fast forward it. But I'm going to be covering as thoroughly as I possibly can. All right, so let's get into things. So over here in the occupations, you do have a new one. We do have blacksmithing. That's kind of cool. You want to go the blacksmithing route. I'll talk more about this, but right now, just for the sake of discussing traits, we're going to go stick this here on custom occupation. And that's going to give us 8 points to work with in general. So there's been some name changes. A couple of big ones are going to be fear of indoors and fear of outdoors. Fear of outdoors, of course, was agoraphobia. Fear of indoors was claustrophobia. They changed it. I don't think there's any particular reason they changed it. I know they are retranslating the game into other languages, so it's probably just a little bit of simplification. Reason I say that is because another change was vehicle knowledge. It used to be amateur mechanic, and there's really no reason for them to change that at all to vehicle knowledge unless they're legitimately translating something easier. Amateur mechanic, of course, is someone who's not a professional mechanic. They're amateur, like a hobbyist, but they know their way around a vehicle and how it works. So that's now changed to vehicle knowledge. It carries over everything from that. At the end of the video, I'll let you know my recommendations on what freebies I think you should pick up. But let's talk about a few of these. Some of them that really stand out is going to be, and really neat things, wilderness knowledge. I think, especially with all the changes to living out in the wilds and hunting and stuff like that, I think a lot of people may like wilderness knowledge. 8 points it's going to cost you. But, I mean, look what you get for it. Carving, foraging, napping, maintenance. Really good stuff for kind of just getting a head start out in the wilderness. Do the cabin by the lake thing like I like to do sometimes. Great start for a character like that. Great build for that. You got blacksmith knowledge. You could just go right with blacksmith for occupation if you want to do that, I think. But, these are just options. Runner, sewer. Let's see, some other things. Some of these I don't think are totally worth it. Resilient, definitely I don't think is really worth it. And I'll talk about that when we go into recommended negative traits. But overall, most of your positive traits that you know before are still here. And I'll kind of mention some of them that you probably knew before that you really liked. Biggest ones are going to be strong and athletic. Athletic is going to be your overall fitness. And then strong, of course, is your overall strength. Both of these are fantastic. They're 10 points each. And you could go down like strong. You can just dip down the stout. And that's going to be great. I'll save you 4 points there. Athletic, you can dip down the fit. I'll save you 4 points. You could do that if you want to. That way you don't have to. The points it takes you up to is 9 out of 10. And so you got to maintain your exercise, but you can get those points up to 10 through exercise. If you start at stout, you're already pretty good. You get a +2 to the strength. So you start at 7 out of 10 and you can just keep working your way up. And it is nice to have stout. I love stout because it feels great to actually shove zombies and have them go to the ground and then stomp their heads in. Yeah, boots help too. You definitely want to make sure you're wearing boots to stomp heads, but stout's just overall a very solid one to have. Athletic, fitness, I don't know. I think it is still, but there's some changes to Build 42 Unstable where your character's endurance wears down faster. And what I've noticed when I've played an out of shape character and then a normal character, it sounds funny. But what I noticed is that they seem to fatigue at the same rate, but they don't recover at the same rate. Those that are out of shape take longer to recover by at least 20 minutes as opposed to those that are in shape or fit. And let's move on from there. Those are some good positive traits. Another one I strongly recommend when you're looking at this to make your build based off something you want to. Of course, I always recommend role playing. What is it you want your character to do? So maybe you come in here, you get stout, and then maybe you start looking for a weapon. A good one is baseball player. Always love that one for the long blunt. Or you can go, I forget which one it is in here. You get axe plus long blunt. It costs you a bit more. I think brawler. Yeah, axe and long blunt. That's another 6 points it'll cost you. But it's good. I like to kind of do that. I get stout, and then I'll grab a weapon, and then I'll grab a profession of some sort. If I've not already picked an occupation for it, I want to make sure I get a profession. And then one that's always good just to have. You don't need to have it, but I try to fit it in every build, is vehicle knowledge. Vehicle knowledge is great because it allows you to actually do maintenance on your vehicles. You know, be able to switch your batteries out, change tires and stuff like that, replace things on your car, and you get better and better at it all the time. Playing both with and without vehicle knowledge, I'm always grateful when I actually have vehicle knowledge. That's a really good one. So yeah, that's kind of my recommendation for positive traits. I go stout, I go vehicle knowledge, because that's kind of a profession, being a mechanic, and then I go weapon, and we'll come here and get brawler. You see, I'm 7 points, minus 7 points. Let me see, some of the tricks no longer work. My last video, I talked about this in build 41. Someone in the comments had mentioned a really cool trick, and that is Adrenaline Junkie. In the comment section, they mentioned if you take Adrenaline Junkie with agoraphobia, your character panics when they're outside. Adrenaline Junkie means they run fast when they're panicked, so they permanently run faster, which is really cool. But if you notice now in build 42 Unstable, oh, weird, I added Adrenaline Junkie, and you don't see fear of outdoors down here anymore. And that's because when you add that Adrenaline Junkie, it goes out. And I'll see, let's go down here. Fear of indoors, fear of outdoors, add Adrenaline Junkie, boom, they're gone. They're entirely gone. The other thing that is gone is nervous. That's gone too, because it knows that's a good way to play it as well. If you have Adrenaline Junkie and you run nervous, you used to be able to, you panic easily, so you know it wasn't as costly as agoraphobia, but you still panicked pretty easily because you're nervous. And notice now that is absent with Adrenaline Junkie, but we take off Adrenaline Junkie and boom, nervous is right back. So there's some changes. That was a neat trick. Sadly, no longer something we can do. They did change that. I'll let you know my thoughts at the end of the video overall about what I think of a lot of these changes. We got some new ones like Whittler for carving, I think is pretty cool. And then we have some positive changes to like Dexterous. This one before just transferred your items quickly. Now it also has faster rope climbing speed. I've never climbed a rope in the game, but I imagine it's, well, yeah, I have. Yeah, it's the things you throw, the tassels you throw out of the windows. Yeah, no, so what am I talking about? So yeah, you've basically climbed faster, less chance of falling, faster weapon shouldering time. Dexterous is pretty great. So yeah. Transfer inventory items quickly, faster rope climbing speed for when you're trying to get up to the second floor of your hideout, climbing up the rope tassels, less chance of falling, that's good to know, faster weapon shouldering time. So yeah, when you change weapons, you swap weapons out, it's going to be a bit faster. And then that's, of course, the contrast directly to All Thumbs, which has all of those negative traits for +2. All is basically the opposite. Let's move on to the negative traits, because there's a lot to cover here. And there's some glitchiness I want to mention real quick as we get into things. So there's some changes to Smoker and some changes to slow metabolism. Slow metabolism used to be overweight. And basically it was a free point in the sense that, yeah, you got a bit of a penalty at the start, but you could drop the weight and the penalty all goes away and you just have free points. They changed slow metabolism. Slow metabolism starts you with high weight, for sure, and -1 fitness, reduced running speed, lower endurance, and prone to injury, but it's a permanent tendency to gain weight. It starts with a high weight trait. So in other words, you are always going to be prone to gain weight quickly. So the food you eat, think of it, because of your metabolism, it's going to be more costly, and then getting your weight down is going to be challenged. But even when you do get your weight down, you still are always going to have that tendency. Plus you start with high weight. So yeah, it's not like before you could just drop the high weight and then you just are left with the bonuses. You have a permanent cost there. And, it's only 2. I think it used to be a +4, and now it's only a +2. If you take fast metabolism, notice up here in the positive traits, what disappeared is fit and athletic. That disappeared. However, there's a bit of a glitchiness right now. So I have fast metabolism. If you notice, strong, athletics gone, and then up around here, stout, I think fit was in between here. That's gone now. That's a bit of a glitchiness. It's meant to come back. I'll let you know why. I'm going to quickly reset it. All right. We got athletic back. And let's see, where is fit? Athletic, boom, and there's fit. So there's a glitchiness now. If you take slow metabolism, athletic and fit will disappear. If you click out of slow metabolism, athletic and fit are still gone. If you want to get that back, you add smoker and then take it off. You get athletic back. So it brings back athletic, but it doesn't bring back fit. So you click athletic, take it off, fit's back. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Slow metabolism and smoker have a cost to the cost of capping your athleticism. You have a bit of a penalty, it seems. That some of it, I think, some of the traits are hidden. And one of the things I think right now about Build 42 Unstable is that nobody really knows, other than the developers, and particularly the programmers. No one really knows all of the details of what they do, like we did with Build 41. There's been a lot of changes. I'm not a YouTuber who's on the inside. I'm not a Project Zomboid career tuber or anything like that. I don't have connections to these developers, or I'm not part of the in-group in the community, so I don't have inside information to give you. I also haven't heard any inside information from others. I've kind of been wanting to research more of this myself, but there's just very little knowledge out of it. I'm just kind of letting you know what I've noticed, some of the changes that are annotated here, and also some of the things I noticed in the game. Smoker has been seriously nerfed. It's now only a +2 instead of a +4. And I will say with smoker in the game now, so unhappiness rises when tobacco is not smoked. Stress and unhappiness decrease after smoking tobacco. So the thing is, when it comes to smoker trait, you no longer have what was considered free points, because cigarettes used to be abundant and you grab lighters and matches everywhere. And once you found the cigarettes, you went to the gas station, you grabbed all of them. You were usually pretty good forever for the life of that character. You just stocked up, and there was a lot. Now it's very rare. They added some more stuff. They added some chewing tobacco in a tin, which is kind of cool that they added that. And now cigarettes also have a pack that you pull from, and that's something I really like. And I'm going to preface this. Never smoke. Never smoke. If you're a young individual, take my advice as a real life smoker in the past, never smoke. But we'll say I used to like the fantasy in the game of having been a smoker and smoking in the game. I used to like it. Now it's extremely costly. So if you take the smoker trait now, not only do you have that loss of athleticism, so it seems to be some kind of cap on athleticism, but you also are going to notice that cigarettes now are very scarce compared to how they used to be. Even when you find a pack of cigarettes, what you'll probably notice there's maybe 3 in there. And you're going to notice they're a lot more rare to come by. At the same time, there's other cool things added. Like I said, the chewing tobacco. And that's not always going to be full when you find it, of course. And then lighters and different types of lighters. Like they have one of his disposable plastic lighter, which is kind of cool. I like to see that stuff in there because, like I said, I like the fantasy. However, it is very costly for the measly +2 you get. And the other thing I'll say about the smokers is the anxiety ramps up very fast and is very steep. And as I mentioned in my previous video, most all of the negative moodles that your character has, most of them, not all of them, but most of them, the rule is simple. If you have a negative moodle, that's a damage and performance debuff. Most negative moodles are going to be reduction to your damage and your effectiveness, with exhaustion being one of the worst ones. So if your character has high anxiety, they're going to be hitting a lot less, even if they're stout, even if they're strong, even if they're athletic, they're going to be hitting a lot less. They're going to be tiring faster, hitting for a lot less damage. And then you notice, especially when you have exhaustion and whether your negative moodles start piling up and you get exhaustion, you'll just be standing there trying to stomp a zombie's head for it feels like a day and a night to finally kill one zombie. So yeah, think of every negative moodle as a damage debuff and performance debuff overall. And with smoker trait changes, it ramps up fast. Ramps up very fast. It tends to go right from nothing to high anxiety, like you're immediately on the edge, ready to break at any moment. That's how bad the anxiety is with the new smoker trait. It used to be you gradually ramped up to that, and then once you max out your anxiety, you start, you start your depression. Well, now it's like you start out right on edge, ready to break. So it's a strong anxiety debuff, and then you'll quickly go into depression, and your character's depression goes up. You got to alleviate that. And like I said, it's going to be difficult because it's a lot more rare to actually get your hands on these cigarettes nowadays in the game. So its question is it really worth the 2 points? I don't think it is necessarily. I may still take it with some of my builds just because, like I said, I like the fantasy of the character having that. And it kind of gives my character a sense of purpose of going out and collecting cigarettes instead of just sitting around in their fort all the time. But the question is it really going to be worth it? I don't think it is. And one person, I know it's mentioned on Reddit, one person said, well, you can kind of set up a farm for cigarettes, if you want to do that. And it's like, well, yeah, but if you're now spending resources to have a cigarette farm, the question is that +2 really worth all the effort and the loss of productivity and the loss of time and the loss of resources? Probably not. I think you have better options now. Everything in Build 42 Unstable, and I like the changes, by the way. I like all these changes. It's not perfect, but I like them. Food is more scarce. It's more harder to come by canned goods and stuff like that. It used to be you break into a house and there's like a whole cabinet full of canned goods and you're good for like a week. You don't have that kind of luxury anymore. It's a lot more scarce, a lot more well balanced, I think, to have that. So you're constantly needing to go jump into houses, grab food, bring it back to your fort, your base, wherever you have that set up. You're having to go find more resources, which I think is good. It keeps you on your toes. It's not so easy. With slow metabolism, you're going to have a tendency to gain weight. And it's going to be permanent, forever. With fast metabolism, you're going to go through a lot of food, a lot of research. So the question is it worth it for the +2? It's a really interesting restructuring of how they're handling their negative and positive traits. I think is making you choose more permanent, making more meaningful decisions. I think overall is what it's doing, because like think about Smoker and all the effort you have to go into to have a character get that +2 bonus, just 2 points for Smoker. Scarce cigarettes, high anxiety, quick depression. You're constantly having to look all over for cigarettes, and then it's a lot more rare too. Very hard to find. I went to the gas station, 0 cigarettes. And and I just lucked out by going to a car's glove box and finding a pack of cigarettes that had 3 in it. And yeah, my character was really hurting. I was slaughtering all my way through Muldrow to get to a gas station just to find those cigarettes. So now let's talk about finally some freebies. I still think that there's an easy way. Like if you have custom occupation, right? We start out here. You have 8 points to spend initially. You can easily get up to 20. And I'm going to show you why, because I think that there are 4 traits in particular that really kind of stand out, that are still remain freebies. We may have lost Smoker and overweight. We may have lost some of that, but we still have 4 traits that are really good. Another one we lost, by the way, high thirst. Don't take it. It's a +1, a measly +1. High thirst, you don't really want that. It's not worth it. Your character gets very thirsty very often, and the +1 is so petty. It's not worth it. Looking through this list, easy. Slow reader. Slow reader, it's a +2. Your character reads slowly. Why do I always take this? Because when you're playing single player and you open up your book you want to read, and you just hit that fast forward button, and it doesn't matter how long it takes, because your character is going to apparently bookmark their progress. You're going to start reading through that book. And it's going to take longer than normal, but you're going to fast forward your time. So it will just zip by. Hours can zip by real quick. In multiplayer, do not take that. That is not helpful in multiplayer. Do not take slow reader, because you can't fast forward time in multiplayer. So if you take that and you join a multiplayer server with some friends or a roleplay server, you're going to be really hurting when your character's just sitting there all day reading a book and you can't do anything at the time. But solo player, absolutely recommend slow reader. Another one's going to be slow healer. Recover slowly from injuries and illnesses, because you should not be getting injured and ill. I know death is inevitable in the game. You're getting infected and stuff like that. But that said, it's better to just not get injured and not get ill. And part of that is, not getting bitten, protecting yourself as much as possible, mitigating the threat of zombies. And by the time, the thing is, and this is the thing with slow healer, and it's also the reason I also take prone to illness. All it takes is one zombie to get one really good licking on you, and then your character's dead. They're going to die. It's inevitable, but You will clear out a whole town, and then you'll hop out of your car at the corner of a road to stop some random zombie that's just wandering by themselves, and you'll swing and you'll miss, and then all of a sudden they'll reach out and you'll hear that familiar bite sound, the crunch of an apple. By the way, that's how you know you were just bitten. Is all the bites have a different sound to them, and when you're actually, I mean, like the scratch and lacerations, it's all the same animation, but there's a difference in sound between the scratch and laceration and being bitten. And when when you're bitten, it actually sounds like someone taking a bite out of an apple. That's how you know you're bitten. So many times I'll hear that crunchy sound of someone biting into an apple, and it's like, oh no, I just got bit. Yeah. And then at that point, it doesn't matter. You're going to die. Time to say your farewells, pack up your gear, and set it, aside so you're ready for your next character, and then maybe take that character out and go down fighting. But slow healer doesn't really do any benefit for you. Yeah, you're going to get injured. I've never really had any setbacks because, like I said, you can accelerate time. If you're injured, immediately tend to your injuries. Get some food in you. Make sure your stats on green. Go lay down. Go rest. Go to sleep. Take some sleeping pills. Go to sleep. You'll sleep off the injury and illness pretty fast anyways, regardless. And this coupled with another freebie is prone to illness, more prone to disease, faster zombification. Here's the thing. The game still doesn't have any negative things for infected. If you have, if you have a wound that's infected, it does not matter. It was that way in build 41. It's the way now in build 42 unstable. If you have a cut and you bandage it, but you don't disinfect it, or, you're not changing your bandages fast enough because if you wash, they get bloodied. You go to the sink, you pull it off, and then you need to clean a bandage, put a fresh rag on, and then, bandage up again. If it gets dirty and you don't change it in time, it'll get infected. What does infected mean for you in that little injury scene? Absolutely nothing. Doesn't matter at all. It still doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter that you have slow healer and prone to illness because infected is not going to do anything. It looks scary to open up a bandage, and seeing your wound says, scratched or laceration and then infected, and it looks scary. And infected doesn't mean anything. So just take the 3 points. So prone to illness, that's 4 points. Slow healer, that's 3 points. What's the last of the freebies, I think, is going to be weak stomach. Weak stomach gets you a +3. And that's because your character will get sick and can die from eating bad food, but you don't ever want to be eating bad food in the first place. If any of your food says stale on it, maybe you're a new player and you don't know it yet, all your food should be fresh, or just be food like granola bars. Doesn't get old. You can just get a granola bar, you get some beef jerky. The whole point of it is it doesn't get old. And it's just preserved forever, and you can just eat it. So granola bars, they never get old. Beef jerky never gets old. The candy, you get like bags of candy at the gas station, they never get old. A couple of them I think do, just like they're cream based, like the cocoa things, like the little puff cream filled. Anyways, all your food that you're cooking, preparing, everything that's in your fridge and freezer, it all needs to be fresh. If it has that modifier, it needs to be fresh. Never eat stale food. Always throw it out. Just take it outside, out back, throw it away. Throw it in a trash can, delete all objects in that trash can, just get rid of it. Never eat stale food. Your character will never be so desperate to where you have to eat stale food for your character to survive. If your character needs to eat stale food, you're in bad shape, and you probably should be out there hunting for more resources more often. But you should never get to the point that your character needs to eat stale food. The other thing is your character can go hungry for a very long time, and they'll be okay. You can go like a day without eating, but your character is going to get very weak over that period of time. But you don't have to eat every day necessarily. Just kind of put in perspective to kind of encourage you to eat up your food while it's fresh and don't let anything go stale. Store your stuff in the freezer. If you're not immediately cooking in the stuff, put it in the freezer, and then maybe pull some meat down to the fridge, kind of like in real life, right? You stick what you're not going to be eating for a while into the freezer, and then maybe, oh hey, I want to eat some chicken breasts tomorrow night, so I'm going to pull out of the freezer and stick it in the fridge. And then you got your chicken breast is going to be nice and thawed in the fridge overnight. Kind of do something like that. Store what you're not going to be eating into the freezer, but never eat stale food. So weak stomach, 3 points. Honestly, easy 3 points. Free, and notice right here you're at 20 points. So now what I would do, and this is my recommendation time, you have 20 points with these freebies, and maybe there's some others you can look into. One I'm kind of wondering about is conspicuous. That's a +4. That brings you up to 24. You're more likely to be spotted by zombies, because right now build 42 unstable is kind of wonky to where the stealth mechanics don't necessarily work how they should. I had a character, I brought her outside one day, and I mean one day, it was just 2 days ago it launched. I brought her outside Rosewood on the street, and a zombie was like way at the edge of the screen, where I was fully zoomed out, where like they couldn't see me. And my character, I'm just looking around, I see, okay, looking for zombies in the area, and I look at the zombie that's there in the bottom right corner of my screen, the far edge, as I'm zoomed out, and all I did in the middle of the street is I crouched down, and that zombie heard me and turned around. They did the animation where they like hear something over their shoulder and then turn towards it, and came right towards me from all the way across the screen, all the way in another yard, because I crouched down. Shouldn't be any sound associated with that. So the conspicuousness and inconspicuousness right now, kind of a mess. I'm hearing though some people are saying they're having great results with inconspicuous. So maybe that's something you want to consider for a positive trait if you want to embrace the stealth side of it, which I think is probably, it seems like it's been improved. But if you don't care about the stealth side, you could probably take conspicuous. But things are kind of interesting right now. I love the extra challenge with Apocalypse. Zombies are kind of like hawks, so just be ready to get into some mess if you take conspicuous. What I recommend with these 20 points is I will always come down here, and then I love to get strong or athletic. And I would recommend, so if you get strong, right, it takes you down to 10 points to spend. I actually recommend getting stout, because you can still build up your strength from there. You get extra knockback for melee and increased carrying weight, which I think is just a subset of having high strength. You can still increase your strength up to 10. Some people go the athletic route, faster running speed, can run for longer without tiring. Don't know how effective fitness is, because the exhaustion has changed where your character exhausts pretty easily, and it seems even having athleticism and high fitness does not seem to help that. So I recommend stout. They're going to be tweaking these things over time too. I think it's fine. Then after you get stout, or whatever you think will help your character's base attributes of this sort, you can take runner if you just like running around a lot. Yeah, +1 to running. And it's cheaper than going with fit. So we got stout, and I say after you have that, I would recommend getting your weapon. Right? Think about the weapon you want to use. If you're firearms, maybe you want to come over here and get police officer or veteran. I think they get a bonus to aiming or reloading, one of those things. If I scroll down the veteran, I do love veteran because it's sensitized. Yeah, aiming and reloading both. Or you can go police officer. You can get you aiming, nimble, and reloading. I'd say go for your weapon next, whatever you want to do. Baseball player is a good one. I clicked the wrong one just now. Baseball player, solid. That's your long blunt. Absolutely love that. If you don't want to do that, another one you can take that's really good is Brawler. I love this one because it's +1 long blunt and also +1 axe. That one's really good. If you want an extra long blunt, that sounds funny. If you want an extra bonus to long blunt, you start with a +2. Just grab baseball player to go with that. If you want to. I don't know if you want to get 2 weapon types. Ideally, you want to focus on 1 weapon type. And then, of course, if you really want to, you can be a lumberjack, you become an expert, and you get a faster axe swing and everything. Like, everything is just improved with axes. That's how you kind of want to look at things, right? And then you have 0 points to spend after that if you were to go expert. I mean, if you were to go lumberjack. Good heavens, man. So that's kind of how you want to look at your bonuses. So get your stout, that's your core bonus, get your weapon. And then maybe look into something else. One thing I always take is, it was an amateur mechanic, now it's vehicle knowledge, because it's just so nice to, why do I keep clicking the wrong one? Because it's just so nice to be able to work on your vehicle wherever you go and do repairs on the road. And if you notice now, we kind of got a lot of really good ones you can take here. Another one I recommend all the time is Outdoorsman, because you can just run around without being affected by the weather all the time. You'll still get chilly, you'll still get overheated, but you won't like be catching the cold and the rain so fast. You got a lot of time you can play outdoors, which is kind of nice. Outdoorsman is nice. Dexterous is huge bonus right now. They added that thing. It used to be just transforming inventory items quickly. Now, if you look at the tooltip, there's a lot of other bonuses. Still don't recommend Speed Demon. Still don't recommend Sunday Driver. I listened to previous videos. They're really bad. Speed Demon, your vehicle's so loud, you're going to be drawing zombies from all over. And even in reverse is like a shotgun. Sunday Driver, you're going to regret that at some point when you're running from zombies and you're tracking off-road and your car suddenly can't drive off-road anymore. Don't recommend any of that. But then other things are kind of good. Wakeful, I wouldn't take that low first. No. Light Eater, no. You're going to have plenty of food. You don't need to put yourself, you don't need to cost positive traits for that. Don't waste your points on it. But things like Blacksmith Knowledge may be helpful. So you got your core skill, your vehicle, you get your weapon, and then maybe now you start looking at, okay, here's my vehicle knowledge, or maybe some other thing. Maybe I want to go Blacksmith Knowledge. I'll go into that. Maybe I want to go Sewer for tailoring, if you're interested in that. Former Scout, I think is useless because of the first aid. I mean, multiplayer, yeah, first aid's pretty cool. Solo player, don't really need it. The foraging is all right, but you know what's even better? Hiker, which I believe this is newly added as foraging and trapping for the same costs, but it doesn't have the unnecessary first aid. And you don't really need to double down on that, but you could. But then another really good one, if you want a bonus, and this is just a good one to have, is Wilderness Knowledge. That's 8, and you get carving, foraging, napping, and maintenance. Strongly recommend taking that. You can drop Hiker with that, and I have 6 points to throw into my weapon now, like baseball player, or be a brawler. Is 6 points, isn't it? It is 6 points. And you notice right there, I got my full bill. I got my core bonus. I got my 4 freebies. I got my core bonus, which is Stout, because I think strength is better with athleticism. They'll probably tweak athleticism to be more meaningful as 42 continues its development. But yeah, Stout, that's your core bonus. Then you get your weapon. That's going to be Brawler for me, Axe and Long Blunt. And then you get your profession, something you want to do, Wilderness Knowledge. And that one's got a lot of bonuses if you want to be an outdoors person. Like I said, you could really, I recommend, that's how I kind of do my builds, but I recommend just kind of picking the occupation of what you want to kind of do. Because one of the things I think with all these traits, because that's kind of the little in-depth of what I know about it, but with all these traits that I think is interesting is it kind of, the choices are more meaningful now. You still got some freebies, you still got some useless benefits, but it's like things have been changed to make your decisions more meaningful, to where I would encourage you to really think about the occupations that you want to kind of play around and do. Like maybe you come into blacksmithing, you get that points to spend 6, and then you get your freebies, because I used to have a lot more I could pile on. I can't really do that anymore. And then let's go with weak stomach for this. So Blacksmith Knowledge, Slow Reader, weak stomach, slow healer. Okay, Blacksmith Knowledge. You got your bonus to maintenance and your 3 points or 4 points in the metalworking. That's huge. You can immediately go in and start crafting things. Maybe you want to take another freebie. Let's get prone to illness. Now we're up at 6 points, and then we go Brawler. That's 6 points, right? And then you may not have a core investment, but you've got a really solid profession, and then you got your weapon. That's kind of how I do my things. I want to do core bonus, weapon, and then profession. And then I kind of work with extra points around there. But really think hard about your negative choices, because a lot of them are permanent now. Those are the 4 freebies I can kind of rationalize and recommend. But use that to kind of build the things that you want to do. Lumberjack is so fun. Veteran is great for desensitized. Crop farmer, maybe you want to go big into the agricultural side of things. Think about that. Notice right here, if I switch to crop farmer, okay, I don't have all the metalworking stuff. I got my bonus to agriculture and whatnot, because I want to go big into the cropping. I'm going to go be playing outdoors. And maybe I have my brawler. Maybe I want to grab Stout. I got 2 more points. Maybe I want to be outdoorsman so that the rain and stuff doesn't affect me as much. And I got my profession built in. Core bonus, weapon, and profession. I strongly recommend that. I think that's great. And of course, a lot of people, a very popular one is going burglar, where it's over here. Yeah, burglar is a great one, because you get it has nice bonuses, light-footed, nimble, sneaking. Really great for stealth builds. I always love the Thief Fantasy is my favorite in video games. So if we want to go burglar, Let's grab our staples. Weak stomach, slow healer, slow reader, and prone to illness. There's our freebies. We got 6 points to spin. With burglar, maybe we just grab stout. Let's take a look. Stout, burglar. That's for your stealth. But notice we don't really have a weapon. But if we're going to go stealth, we may not necessarily, I mean, if it works out for us, we may not necessarily need to have a strong physique if we go with, where's the short blade over here? I don't really use blades, but some people love them because you can get instant kills and stuff like that. Hunter, short blade, sneaking, trapping. Hunter, but then you need +2. So maybe, well, you don't want to go take clumsy. Nervous, prone to panic. Short-sighted. You could do short-sighted. I would say that's kind of a, if you're willing to stick to it, you need prescriptions if you're going to do short-sighted. Smaller view distance, whatnot. You need to wear prescription glasses to correct your view. Otherwise, everything will be blurry as if you're myopic in real life. You could kind of play around that. You could grab smoker. I don't use burglar because, I mean, hot wiring is cool, but, you know, you're going to find a cool vehicle anyways at some point down the road that you can gas up and that has keys in it. Instead of just hot wiring everything you need. But yeah, there's been a lot of changes. This is kind of what I recommend for the traits and whatnot. It's very different than how it used to be. It's been changed a lot. More meaningful choices. I like it. I like it a lot. It's just right now we don't really know a whole lot about all of it. And I've been doing a lot of testing with my characters and some of the things I kind of noticed with the new endurance changes and exhaustion and muscle fatigue. I'm noticing that a lot of the fitness doesn't seem to matter as strong right now. They'll probably be tweaked. But like the difference is like, you know, my out of shape character can pick up a zombie. Okay, so my character, healthy and in shape, can pick up a zombie from the front door and drive it to the end of the driveway, and they go through all the levels of exhaustion and get some muscle fatigue. They then need to recover for an hour to catch their breath. A character that's out of shape will have the same thing happen. They'll go to all levels of exhaustion, and they need to come back and recover for an hour and 20 minutes in order to be ready to go again, to get all the exhaustion off. So I think the exhaustion is going to be nerfed a bit because they even mentioned when they released Unstable that, you know, they're going to be tweaking some of these values. But I do love the changes overall. Let me know what you think. Let me know what tricks you find down in the comments section. Like I said, I've not been able to find any great information on this outside of my own testing, what I've kind of noticed here. If you have great advice, let me know. Share it with others down below. I hope this is helpful because, like I said, some of these things, you can still get some great builds going, but more meaningful choices, like I said, I recommend core, weapon, and profession. That's a great way to do it. And that's going to be it. I think we kind of covered everything as far as the traits. I mean, there's a lot of testing that people have yet to do, but I'm just one man. I'm not going to be able to do all of it. I don't have all the time in the world to kind of go through all of it, but it's going to be on the community to really contribute and help people out. Like I said, share your stuff down in the comments and let me know what you think. Thanks.